Welcome to Just Curious. Today we're exploring two key themes: how AI is transforming online education and the role of AI in making technical learning more accessible. Joining us is Denis Panjuta, the founder of Tutorials.eu, an industry leader in AI-driven education. Denis has been pioneering innovative approaches to helping businesses and professionals upskill efficiently in an increasingly AI-driven world. Denis, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Denis, before we get into the intersection of AI and education, can you share a bit more on yourself and your own AI journey?
Well, yeah. I started creating video courses as part of my thesis project, and that was more than 10 years ago, actually 13 years ago. And ever since I've been creating video courses on different topics. In the past, it was coding mainly, and then since ChatGPT, well, actually a few months before ChatGPT came out, GPT-3 was out, and I saw the potential of it. I was absolutely mind blown by it. And then a few months later, ChatGPT finally came out, and that's where I told my team, guys, we need to jump on this. We need to learn everything there is about it, and we need to become great at it, which we then did. And it went very fast because it was so intuitive. I thought, okay, this is a little too easy to make some serious courses about. At least that's what I thought back then. And the challenge was to find some real use cases where this was most useful. Over the last 2 years, a lot of these use cases came up. And one of them was AI automation, which is something that I'm going to present today as well, which is a more technical side of things, because that's where I come from. I come from the technical side of, well, business in general with my technical courses, right? With the coding courses. And yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. So it's really a combination of AI and how to apply AI in business, as well as how to automate tasks that in the past wouldn't be possible to automate.
Who do you tend to work with in helping them automate these tasks that weren't possible to automate before?
So when it comes to the actual education side of things, so there are two different sides. So there's the educational side, and then there's the application side. So when it comes to education, it is mainly people who are either self-employed and small business owners who are rather technical and would love to automate processes in their business themselves. And then also freelancers, for example. But then when it comes to application, then like business owners who want to use AI automation without having to set everything up and learn everything from scratch, because there's so much that you would need to learn in order to do it. It is a lot easier than coding, but it still is not something that you would understand without having a basic technical understanding when it comes to building it. However, using it is obviously an easy task.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about how someone goes from coming to you with a workflow to having that workflow be automated and made much more efficient. Maybe if we could walk through an example and tell a story about who came to you, what problem were they seeking to solve, and then let's discuss how you went about solving it.
All right. So yeah, I'm going to share a technical example that I prepared here. And this is just one of the automations that we built. And it is a more sophisticated version than the one that I shared in my school community. So I have a school community where I teach people how to automate things themselves. But then when it comes to this solution that I'm sharing with you, it's a little more product ready, so to speak. Because when you teach somebody something, you cannot build something like an entire solution for them, because it includes a lot of repetition and then becomes boring for a learner. So that's why we're looking at what I'm going to share now. Let me share my screen. That will then make more sense. So, all right. So let's look at this automation that we've built here. And this is an automation using the tool called Airtable. So Airtable is basically a database on steroids, which includes things like interfaces, like the one that you can see here. So this is an interface that we built that it makes it easier for you to create content. And this specific one is for LinkedIn content. So what this tool does is it allows you to set up brands. So you can have multiple different brands. Then it allows you to set up services that you want to promote through your LinkedIn presence. For example, either you offer a service or you offer a product, so it can be both regardless. And then you give more details about your brand. So you share some details as to what you're doing, and then some content guidelines as to how the text should be written, how the content should be prepared, so to speak, what kind of things are important for you, what your target audience is, all of those things. And then you can define what product or service you want to create ideas for. And then you click on generate ideas here, and then that will then go ahead and generate a few ideas for you. So these ideas, they are AI generated ideas based on your brand as well as based on your brand settings as well as based on your content settings, right? So it then understands, all right, yeah, my business is about AI automation, for example. So the brand that I created earlier, and then it came up with these 5 ideas that we can see here on the left-hand side. So AI automation myths busted, transform your presentations with AI success stories, and so forth, right? So then it gives you the content topic idea. Then you can decide what kind of content type you want to create. So when it comes to LinkedIn, there are 2 different types. So one type is the one that generates leads. So you actually have a URL to your product, for example, in the post. However, these posts tend not to perform as well as the ones without promotion. So if you're not promoting anything, they're more likely to be successful. So that's when you would generate a traffic campaign or a traffic content piece. So you select generate traffic, and then it would not use any kind of advertisement for your product in the post itself. Then you can select the image type that you want to use. For example, like a futuristic image, a realistic image, and so forth. There are many different image types that you could set up here that you want to use in your image. And then an idea prompt is generated for you automatically. The brand and service are also associated here straight away, so they're set up for you. And then once you're happy with what you got here, you just say, I like this idea. You click on good idea, and this will then generate a post prep. It's not a final post, but it's like the thought for the
Sure.
post.
Yep.
And let's look at that then. So it will generate a new post here. It takes a few seconds because in the background, multiple different API calls are happening. So basically multiple different software tools are talking to each other over the cloud and sending information back and forth. And in the end, it then generates content for you that will come up here. So you see a few that were generated before. So here, for example, the future of work embracing AI automation. So here was an image that was generated for me. And I could replace this image if I don't like this AI-ish look, or I can regenerate the image with a different image type or something like that. Very often you would just attach your own file in there and use something that you have, let's say, from from your business, from an event or something like that, that is going to be resonating with your audience. So then it generates this detailed description, which is quite in depth. So the cool thing is this description is not just used from ChatGPT knowledge, but it's actually using real-time data, so to speak, using Perplexity's API. So it does it like a search, so to speak, and checks out what kind of articles are relevant, and then it gives you the sources here as well. And then when you're happy with it, then you can generate the post content. So clicking on that button would then generate this LinkedIn post for you. So you see here that it included the emojis here. So there are a few emojis in this post. Now, if you don't like emojis, you can also deactivate those when generating the content. You can also obviously modify it from here and delete the emojis that you feel are too much. And then you can read through the post and see if this is something that you agree with or that resonates with you. And then you can post it. So here are also a few links. So these are the sources that we saw that Perplexity AI gave us. Unfortunately, Perplexity isn't like 100% reliable when it comes to their sources. So sometimes it won't give you the sources, sometimes it
Sure.
will. If you want to have them and they're there, then you can use them. Otherwise, you can also get rid of them. Very often, you would rather not want to have sources in there because LinkedIn doesn't like it if you send people from
Yeah.
from their platform to someone else, to a different platform, because they lose the attention of the user. So they rather want people to stay on your platform. So if your goal is to generate as much traffic as possible to your post and to your person, so to speak, that would be the way to go. And then you can publish your post. Either you can schedule it or you can directly post it instantly. And here it depends on whether you have a personal or business account. These things, they matter as well. So you can either post to your personal LinkedIn account, or you can also have these accounts that are not individuals, but are like company accounts or something like that, right? Business accounts. So you could then post to that as well. And you will find that whenever you publish or schedule your post, once it's published, you will find it here. So this is the post URL for that given post that I just showed you. Okay, so this is the example that was then directly generated here with the sources and the image. Yeah. So why would you say is this relevant? Well, from a learner's perspective, it's relevant because it teaches you so many different things. So coming back to what I was talking about earlier about the people that want to learn AI automation, for them,
Right.
this is relevant because it teaches you so many different things. It teaches you how automations work, how to build a database that is like extendable, so to speak, that has enough features for it to be a proper solution, as well as it teaches you how to create a user interface that is easy to understand and follow, as well as obviously the automation itself using AI. So where is AI in this whole mix? Well, the thing is, for the whole automation in the background, I'm using this tool called make.com. And Make is basically a front end which allows you to create to link a bunch of different tools and let them communicate with each other in order to then do something for you, like for example, creating a piece of content. So this content is generated with AI, and specifically in this case, we used ChatGPT or the OpenAI API. So it's not ChatGPT because ChatGPT is the front end that we see. It's like this website, but the OpenAI API, the technical background of what you see on the ChatGPT website. So in the background, the API is actually doing its work. So it generates the content for me. And the cool thing is that it is context sensitive. So it knows everything about my business. It knows about my content guidelines. I set them up once and I have them there, and it just knows what to create for me. And then, yeah, I just have my post. And the good thing is going through this flow from a business owner perspective is allowing you to create content for the whole week within, let's say, 20 to 30 minutes, and then you're done. And
Yeah.
you have content for every single day. And that's an important aspect of LinkedIn success, that you post something regularly. All right, that you post something every day that is meaningful to your audience, that is relevant to your audience, and so forth. Now, the cool thing is, let's say there are some things that you didn't like too much about what was written here. Well, then you just go over to your brand settings and you change your content guidelines where you add some words that you never want to be used, or where you say I want the content to be in a certain format and so forth. So these are a few things that you have control over, and yeah, basically that's the automation that I wanted to present.
Yeah, what a great example. And that's also an example of if some business came to you with a problem, which was we're looking to better reach customers on LinkedIn. It's taking us way too much time for us to create LinkedIn posts, or maybe it's another platform. You would, as part of the sort of application offering, help them build out a custom solution, and it could look something like this.
Yeah. So it could be either us building a custom solution for them, or it could be them using that particular solution that you saw here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have not made a SaaS solution out of it yet, but it is on my agenda. So this will be an offer that I will make available to the public as well. So it will be a slightly different user interface, because what you saw here is just this Airtable thing that I was talking about earlier, right? This database on steroids.
Yeah.
It's basically allowing us to create these user interfaces that are rather easy to follow, but it can obviously be better, right? It doesn't look amazing or so, but it is functional, and it's a really nice, let's say, good first prototype slash minimum viable product, right? And that's something that I love about these AI automations. They allow you to build MVPs in a tenth of the time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so fast. The time that it would take to build this out with coding would be drastically longer, at least 5 to 10 times, I would say. I even talked to one of my one of my developers when I first hired him, and he helped me to create a coding course in the past. And then I hired him for AI automation. I told him, hey, you need to check this out. You need to learn it and you need to build me X product. So he did that. And then I asked him, how long did it take you? And he said, it took me 2 days. And I asked him, how long would it take you to build this with Java? And he said, at least 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, yeah, I got it. So this is amazing.
Yeah. What are some other workflows or use cases that AI-driven automation could be relevant for? I'm trying to inspire people listening to think about their own businesses and where they can radically improve efficiency through something that looks like this.
So I'm going to start with a rather unspecific statement, but technically it is wherever you have something where text is somehow converted into something else, where a decision is made based on text or based on an image, and based on that decision, things are entered in a database or in a tool. For example, let's give some more technical example, like specific examples. So let's say you have a ticketing system, and you have a few employees, and you want to filter the tickets to the right person, or send the tickets to the right person. You do that based on certain rules, right? Whoever is the person, like the support person, getting the emails and deciding who to send it to is in the end following certain rules. And those rules can be defined in such an automation. And then those emails could be collected and instantly sent to the right person, depending on the workload that that person has and depending on the experience that the person has. So that would be just an example, right? There are obviously some other ones. For example, lead generation, right? So you can obviously buy big lead lists, but then you can also do something called scraping. So there's this concept of web scraping where you can scrape the internet, so to speak, analyze data on the internet and put it into the right format for you. So for example, Google Maps. In Google Maps, there are all the businesses, right? So let's say you want to have all barbers in Los Angeles and you want to offer them a product or a service or something like that. So you could use an automation that scrapes all the barbers from Google Maps, puts them into a CRM, and then automatically sends an email sequence to every single one of them that even is custom to their specific business. So it could even go as far as to visit their website, scrape their website as well, basically analyze their website, see what they stand for, what are their values, what is important to them, and then create a custom email that speaks to them individually rather than to the masses, right? Like a generic email. Hey, Stuart, I saw that you are a barber. How about you buy my service? Obviously,
Yeah.
that wouldn't work, right? But if I say, hey, Stuart, I know a lot about you. So these are things that I found on your website. I really love that. And you could improve ABC because we saw that you make this mistake on your website. If you get an email that is that specific, where it says that's the problem that you right now have and I can fix for you, you're a lot more likely to react, right? So yeah, these are just some examples. We could go on like this for a long time. Yeah. And like my goal is to educate my audience on these automations that are as closely as possible to real world examples, because for an MVP, that's something that I can show them in a course. But the final product will be a little more sophisticated, and that's something that needs to be custom built for any given business.
Yeah. What advice do you have for business owners who are exploring AI for the first time?
So when it comes to AI or AI automation,
I'd say, well, let's say both.
okay. So when it comes to AI, I would go many steps back because what we looked at was already like quite, it was almost software development, right?
Sure.
So if we take a few steps back, I would say look at what are the things that can be improved in your business for all employees. So all the processes that they have where they are spending time, for example, analyzing files, or for example, like entering data from one file to another or something like that. Analyze the low-hanging fruits where you don't need to build custom solutions or anything like that. And then before you build anything with AI, always ask yourself, is this something, like, is this process good? Is this process necessary? Before you AI-atize or like make an AI process out of something, make sure that the process is actually valuable and actually valid. Because very often, if you just take crap and you paint it, it's not going to be something else. It's still going to be crap, right? So
Yeah.
instead, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a really good process. And once you have that, then you find a way to optimize it with AI. So yeah, I wouldn't go as far as building this kind of stuff before before everyone in your team uses ChatGPT or something comparable on a daily basis. Only once they do that, then I would go the next step and I would start automating things.
Awesome. And then what's the first, I guess, step to automating things? Is it taking one of those processes that is not crap and kind of breaking down the pieces and understanding, which of those pieces can be automated, which of those pieces are text-based and can be enhanced through generative AI? How do you take your first step?
So the first step would really be, as you said, finding the processes that are good, and then um, basically you said it right. You analyze what tools are out there because very often you will find a tool that costs $20 a month or whatever and does what you want. So you don't even need to build anything. Some research in terms of what tools are out there is going to be absolutely worth it in most cases. But then if you have a process that is a little more complicated or that cannot be done by one tool, maybe it's three different tools, but then there is an individual, like a human component somewhere in between. But still, the process that otherwise would be, let's say, 40 hours, suddenly it's just 5 hours of manual work. So that would be one step. Now, obviously, it would be amazing if the entire thing could be done automated, but that is only possible if your data is good. Everything in the process is super clear, so everyone knows exactly, like every part is planned out perfectly, so that in the end, when you do get the result, you do get the output, it is what you wanted, and you can actually use it and work with it. Because otherwise, why would you automate in the first place, right?
Yep. Yep. Awesome. Dennis, I really appreciate you coming on to Just Curious today, sharing this great example, which has inspired me. And yeah, best of luck with everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Stuart.